Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1 for this, our preview for the Imola Grand Prix. I know it's not called the Imola Grand Prix, but we might as well call it the Grand Prix. It's the Grand Prix at Imola this weekend, and this is our preview video and predictions video heading into it. What we're going to do in this video, firstly going to look through all the biggest news headlines of the week going into this race weekend. Then we're going to take a visit to Upgrade Corner, the biggest upgrade corner I think we've ever had. Lots of discussion around upgrades coming up in the video. Special helmet streets will be coming up as well, recapping the 2 practice sessions that we've had so far, and then making our 2 predictions at the end of the video for what will happen this race weekend. 2 predictions that I've never ever got wrong in the history of any preview video. Let's get into it then with the news headlines of the week, and we start with the championship leader for F1 Academy, Abby Pulling, who won the 2nd race last weekend at British Formula 4, becoming the first ever female driver to win a race in British Formula 4. She's having fantastic success at the minute. It's her 3rd win in 2 weekends, I think it was, because she got the 2 wins in F1 Academy in Miami, and then this win here in British Formula 4. So fantastic success for her there. Hopefully she can keep going forward with that success, and hopefully, if things go well, we'll see her in Formula 3 next year, which is the whole point of Formula 1 Academy, to progress these women up the ladder of motorsport and into Formula 3. So hopefully that'll be something to keep an eye on going into the future. Up next, though, we're talking about Haas. We spoke about Haas last time out because Gunther Steiner was suing Haas for using his likeness and unpaid wages. But now, Haas are suing Gunther Steiner for alleged infringements in his book Surviving to Drive. Haas claim that Steiner and his publisher acted unlawfully in publishing images that it believes breached its trademark rules. Well, Haas have just gone, you're going to sue us? We're going to sue you! So, yet again, another burnt bridge between Haas and Gunther Steiner. One to keep an eye on there. What I'll say about this is Surviving to Drive is a great book, and I would recommend giving it a read. But as for did he use the images unlawfully? I mean, they're images of him, and I imagine he would have got permission to use those images. So that's a really interesting one to keep an eye on. But let's talk about actual Formula 1 news that's happening right now, because Alex Albon has signed a contract extension with the Williams team, which will keep him there until at least the end of 2027, which is huge for Williams there. Williams doing that thing that F1 teams like to do at the minute, where they don't actually say how long the contract is. They just say that he's there until at least the end of 2027. So it sounds like it's one of those, like a 2+1, where you have your 2 years. Will it be a 3+1, wouldn't it? 2027. Would it? Yeah, it would. Where you have your years on your contract, and if things are going well, you can have an additional year. It's what Mercedes gave to Lewis Hamilton, and then they announced that he was with them for 2 years, but it was actually a 1+1, which allowed him to leave and join Ferrari. Yes, in terms of this deal, though, great deal for Williams. Albon's been the best driver I think Williams have had in years, and that's including George Russell. I think Albon has, been a breath of fresh air for the Williams team, and he's doing fantastic stuff for them. But for Albon, I don't think this is a good deal at all for him. To stay with the Williams team for 3 years. I mean, a few months ago we were having discussions of Albon moving to the likes of a Mercedes or a Red Bull. The teams at the top of the table were looking at him, and he's just gone, no, I'll stay with Williams. And I understand staying in a team that you like, staying with people that you like, but for me, I like Albon a lot, but this kind of just screams of, fear of competition, in a way. Stay at a team which is lower down, and you'll look quite good, rather than go for a team that's at the top, in case you don't do as well. And I don't like saying that about Albon, because like I say, I like him a lot, but this deal, I don't know. Maybe I'll eat my words, and it'll be much like when Lando Norris signed that extension with McLaren, and everyone's like, no, you've got to go up the table. But then, it's worked out well for him. Hopefully, James Vowles and Alex Albon can turn Williams around, and maybe they will be at the top of the table come the end of 2027. I doubt it, but who knows? There you go. Looking forward to this weekend. There's been a few changes to the Imola circuit as asphalt running areas. Asphalt, we'll say. It's hard to say English words sometimes. Asphalt runoff areas have largely been replaced by gravel traps across the circuit in aim to reduce track limit problems. Now, we've seen this already in the practice sessions and the F2 and F3 sessions today, that those gravel traps are causing issues for people, but has it reduced track limit problems? Absolutely not, especially in F2 and F3, where track limits was still a huge issue, especially in the F2 qualifying session, where the session ended and basically half of the grid changed. Ollie Behrman went from 2nd to 19th. I think Antonelli went from 7th, I think it was, to 22nd. So track limits are still a huge issue here, and I imagine it will be another huge issue in Formula 1 this weekend. So keep an eye out for that. Also an issue this weekend thus far is traffic. We saw that in Formula 2 and Formula 3 for qualifying, people queuing up to set their lap times, but also in F1 as well, we just saw a lot of people blocking each other throughout the day. So traffic and track limits make their big return to Formula 1 this weekend. Welcome back. Off the track, though, McLaren have been making some moves and expanding their young driver program with Alex Dunn and Martinius Stenshorn. That's how you pronounce his name. Those are two Formula 3 drivers. Now, Stenshorn, so far this season F3, has been very, very mixed. He has either not scored points or won the race. So he has got one sprint race win in Australia, and that's it. Every other race he's finished outside the points, but he's still quite high in the standings just because of that one thing there. As for Dunn, he has 2 points finishes this year, a 9th and a 7th, but he is a former British Formula 4 champion and got 2nd place in GB3 last year. So eyes on those for the future, as McLaren will be helping them out going forward, and now their cars are like bright orange on Formula 3, so it's very hard to miss them. So there you go, that is the news headlines from this week that I want to talk about thus far. But now it is time to go to Upgrade Corner to discuss all the upgrades that have come this weekend, and my god, there's a lot of them. The start of the European leg of the season is here, and that does mean that it's time for the upgrade battle to commence, which normally does go throughout the entire European leg, especially because most teams, their home bases are in Europe, so it's easier to get those parts out, which is what has happened here. Let's just go through all of them, because we start with Red Bull, who brought 4 upgrades thus far: a front wing, floor edge, floor body, and nose. We'll talk more about it in the practice roundup, but so far the upgrades have made the car worse. Lots of issues for Red Bull so far on the Friday. Both drivers seeming to be very uncomfortable. Max Verstappen very verbally saying that the car was not right. So I imagine a lot of work overnight will happen between tonight and tomorrow to try and get these upgrades to work a little bit better. Now, we have seen a lot with Red Bull over the last few years where they turn up on the Friday and Max isn't happy at all. Then he puts it on pole position and he wins the race. So you might see that yet again, but he does seem to be struggling a little bit more than usual. Mercedes have brought 2 upgrades, and they say that more upgrades are coming. They have brought floor fences and floor body. Now, I think it was Karun said on the commentary for FP2 that one of their people have told them that these upgrades are coming, and it will not just propel them to the front of the grid, it will give them race wins. Now, we've heard that a lot from Mercedes over the last 3 years, so I'm tempted not to believe this, because, they're not in a great place at the minute and they haven't brought many upgrades where everyone else has. So I think they're just trying to keep their fans kind of engaged a little bit. But yeah, 2 upgrades for now. But, they're looking quite good so far this weekend. Ferrari are one of the 2 teams who brought a lot of upgrades this weekend, with 7 upgrades for them. Front wing, rear wing, side pod, inlet, engine cover, floor edge, diffuser, and rear suspension. Huge upgrades on the Ferrari, and my god, it seems to be working. As I said, we'll talk more about it in a little bit, but Ferrari looking very strong this weekend. McLaren have brought two upgrades, but they are both circuit-specific upgrades. But you also just need to remember that the Miami upgrade pack that they brought last time out is now also on Piastri's car. So both cars have got that full upgrade on from now on. Aston have brought the most upgrades with 9. Front wing, nose, floor body, floor fences, floor edge, diffuser, engine cover, rear suspension and rear corner. So yeah, 9 upgrades for Aston, basically what they are calling their B-spec car. But the issue with this is, so far in free practice, not really much of a difference for Aston whatsoever, unless they are hiding their true pace. These upgrades have not done much at all and have not really moved where they are. So quite concerning for Aston to bring that many upgrades to do nothing. But, we'll have to see how that goes throughout the rest of the weekend. Alpine have brought 1 floor edge, Williams have brought 1 floor body, Stake F1 Team Excalibur have brought 1 floor fence, Haas have brought 3 upgrades, very early in the season for some Haas upgrades, but they've got a front wing end plate, rear suspension and rear corner, and then of course there is the Racing Bills, who have brought absolutely nothing, but seemingly, we'll talk about it in FP2, but Yuki Tsunoda doesn't need upgrades. More on that in a little bit. Time for Special Helmet Street now. It's only a short walk down Special Helmet Street because there's only one special helmet to talk about. And this comes from Pierre Gasly with the Ayrton Senna Memorial helmet here. It is 30 years since Ayrton Senna passed away, and there's been a lot surrounding him this weekend. Of course, this is the track that he had that crash at that cost him his life. But yeah, a lot of Ayrton Senna stuff going on this weekend. A few of the cars have got the Ayrton Senna 30 years logo on them this weekend as well. Sebastian Vettel will be at the weekend driving one of his McLarens, and he organised a run around the track as well yesterday with a lot of the F1 drivers as well as the F2 and F3 guys. So yeah, a lot of Ayrton Senna stuff going on this weekend, as well as a lot of special balaclavas as well that the drivers will be wearing under their helmets. So yeah, a lot of Ayrton Senna stuff this weekend. I kind of find it weird a little bit sometimes when drivers have Senna-themed helmets at the track where he died. I understand it's a memorial, but I mean, if you want to do a Senna tribute, Brazil is right there. Monaco is next weekend, I think that's where he had his most wins. I get the memorial aspect of it, but it always makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. But there you go. That Special Helmet Street talked about practice sessions, and FP1 really was an eye-opener for what this weekend's going to be, because a lot of guys were struggling, especially with the gravel traps. Alex Albon had electrical issues, and his car stopped about halfway through the session. Bad weekend so far for the Williams team. Lewis Hamilton had a big spin as well, but the one who was struggling the most seemed to be Max, really struggling with multiple big offs throughout the session. For the Haas, though, Ollie Behrman was driving the Haas for the FP1 session. It was a good session for him so far. 15th he was at the end of that. I think Hulkenberg was 20th, but there's all the running plans, and also it's the first time Hulkenberg's ever driven at Imola, which I find so shocking considering how long of a career he's had. But the bulk of that career that he had initially was when F1 wasn't racing at Imola. Then when he went away, Imola came back, so it's his first ever time at this track, which is cool to see. Also interesting about the Haas, and the Haas team in general, is that the Drive to Survive crew are following Ollie around this weekend. So, I mean, we all think already it's the worst kept secret in Formula 1 at the minute that Ollie Behrman will be in the Haas next year. But, Drive to Survive following him around. I can't remember the last time an F2 driver had Drive to Survive following him around. Was it Mick Schumacher, maybe? So, yeah, I mean, Ollie Behrman in F1 next year, basically confirmed. At the end of the session, it was Ferrari on top, Leclerc first, Sainz was third. Shockingly, George Russell second. Mercedes, despite bringing basically nothing and having no pace all season so far, Lewis Hamilton hasn't finished in the top 5 once so far, the first time that's ever happened in his career. Mercedes might have a bit of pace this weekend. George Russell finishing second in FP1. It was Perez fourth, from Verstappen in fifth, Yuki Tsunoda looking good in sixth, Hamilton seventh, Norris eighth, Piastri ninth, Fernando Alonso 10th. Going into FP2, both Williams cars took ages to get on the track. It was about 30 minutes waiting for Albon to set a first lap time. Now, I'm not sure how long it took Sargent, but he was even longer than that. Norris was on a really fast lap at one point, but then went over the curb on like the second to last corner and then ended his last lap by coming into the pits. So Norris has a lot more pace than what the lap times would suggest. Ferrari continued to look incredibly fast though, and Red Bull continued to be struggling. Max had another big off towards the end of the of FP2. As we look at the times for that session though, when it loads on my computer. Here we go. So it was Charles Leclerc was P1 yet again. Oscar Piastri in second, so fantastic for him. But unbelievably, third went to Yuki Tsunoda. So he's had two very good practice sessions today. Hamilton fourth, Russell fifth. So yet again, Mercedes looking like they might have some pace here this weekend. Sainz was sixth. Then it was Verstappen and Perez in seventh and eighth. So both of them struggling yet again. Hülkenberg was ninth with Alonso in 10th. Norris was 12th. But as I said before, his fast lap was he kind of messed it up, then ended it early. So there's a lot more pace available for Norris than that would suggest. So yeah, Red Bull really, really struggling this weekend, while Charles Leclerc seems to be flying high thus far. Which brings me to my predictions for the race weekend. And like I said, these have never been wrong. I've never got these predictions wrong, and there's no way to prove that I ever have. So here are my two predictions. My first prediction: Kevin Magnussen will receive his race ban. So I believe he is currently on 10 penalty points. If you get 12 penalty points, the rules state that you'll get a race ban. And they give out penalty points for literally anything at the minute. Fernando Alonso got penalty points in China because Carlos Sainz hit him. And I think he got 3 then. So Magnussen only needs 2. So I believe that Magnussen will do something this weekend, because Magnussen's always doing something. Magnussen will do something. He'll receive the minimum of 2 he needs to get a race ban, and then we will see Oliver Behrman driving for the Haas in Monaco next weekend. So that's my first prediction for this weekend. My second prediction is that Charles Leclerc will win the race. Yes, the Emilia-Romagna, whatever the race is called. He will win this race. It'll be his first win. I'm just double checking this. Yes, it is his first win since Austria 2022. So it's been a long time since Charles Leclerc has been on the top step of the podium. But I predict it will happen this weekend, because I think the Ferrari upgrades are working really well. Not only have they re-leapfrogged McLaren after McLaren were quicker than them in Miami, but I think they might have also jumped Red Bull, especially since these Red Bull upgrades don't seem to be working. The Red Bull without the upgrades, I don't know which one's faster, but this Red Bull with this upgrade that doesn't seem to be quite working right now, unless they can fix it, this weekend for me belongs to Ferrari. There you go. Let me know what you think in the comments. We'll have loads of coverage this weekend. We'll be back here tomorrow for qualifying. Then on Sunday, we'll have coverage of F1, F2, and F3. Then on Monday, we'll have the driver ratings. All of that to come this week. And then next week is bloody Monaco. Back to back. Unbelievable scenes. Can't wait for it. I will see you all then. Have a good one. Until next time, goodbye.